What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the MG YouTube channel. I'm your host, Malachi Greb, CEO of Elite Automation, Elite Properties, and an investor in Tesla and other things as well. Today, we got some really big news from Tesla, though, which is what I'm bringing to you today, and that is that Tesla is starting to remove safety drivers from the vehicles, the RoboTaxis in Austin, Texas. Now, in reality, they're not actually removing safety drivers. What they're doing is they're actually adding vehicles to the fleet. And these new vehicles that they're adding to the fleet or are deployed without any safety monitor in the car, which is actually two good newses in one. The first good news is obviously that they're starting to deploy RoboTaxis without safety monitors, which is a good indicator that they're trusting the safety. Somebody was actually even able to sit in the passenger seat of the RoboTaxi. By the way, I'm in FSD right now, just letting the vehicle drive itself. But yeah, so they're allowing passengers to take rides without safety riders in the car. Huge monumental thing that's just really showcasing their confidence in the fact that RoboTaxi is safe enough, at least in Austin, Texas. I personally think they're using a specific Austin, Texas FSD that's been fine-tuned and refined for Austin, Texas. Now, does that FSD kind of bleed off into our other FSDs around the world? I think so. Because they've mentioned in the past that as we improve one area and really try to work to optimize one area, it's going to kind of help optimize all other areas as well. So I think some of that will bleed over. Now, are we using that exact same version? It's kind of hard to say. But one thing I will add is I think Tesla wants us to have the same version that they're using for RoboTaxi. Even if it's not the same UI and we're not having like the RoboTaxi features in our vehicles and stuff like that. The reason why they would want us using the same version of FSD or a very similar version to FSD is because then they can use that training data to make RoboTaxi better. Because if RoboTaxi is using a branch that's different than the FSD that we're using, that's really actually a bad indicator, because now they're a branch, right? And now you have to train that one and then train this one, right? Train the RoboTaxi one and then train the general autonomy one, right? General FSD that everybody else has, which then indicates that the FSD that we all have is actually not good enough for RoboTaxi, not good on a nationwide level, and it's probably only good enough geographically. However, if we're working on a very similar FSD package, just like some minor variations and some minor maybe human adjustments to Austin, Texas, then a lot of that stuff will bleed over and should also have impact. Like, say, for instance, if you own a Tesla with FSD and you live in Austin, Texas, that you should have like pretty much perfect FSD in Austin, Texas, because that RoboTaxi FSD would be bleeding over into your just normal FSD. Same with like San Francisco. Now, no telling like how optimized they've gotten that one, if it's running another like side tangent FSD, and if that's bleeding over into just our standard general FSD. Now, however, I do think that the general FSD is the game plan long term. I think they might just be kind of putting band-aids on some of these other areas and or optimizations where they're refining for those areas. It is bleeding over into our FSD. So if we have vehicles in those areas, then they're running at the most optimal level of anywhere else in the United States. Let's try to thought. Sorry, guys. But yeah, point being is that, our FSD would then work most optimally in those areas. Now, generalized, they want it to where they don't have to optimize in a particular city. Now, maybe they have to optimize in 3, 4, 5, 6 more big cities before really that optimization bleeds over into all other cities. However, it still might be a really slow rollout. They might need to confirm the data city by city, and they're probably going to do that by a few different metrics. One, the biggest cities with the most populations, or with the most population and or the most Teslas, because they have the most data collected in those areas. And the other one that they actually might target, which really goes against that, is areas that have the least amount of interventions. Why areas with the least amount of interventions? Well, because the least amount of interventions, and when I say least amount of interventions, I mean interventions per vehicle in that area. So you get like a percentage of, if it's 1,000 vehicles and one intervention, or 10,000 vehicles and 100 interventions, like that. There's like a ratio there. Because say for instance, if there's like one intervention every month or something like that, and maybe it's that one particular intervention and there's no other interventions throughout the city, but there's still 1,000, 10,000 Teslas in that area. That might be an easy one for them to say, okay, hey, the data's showing that this area is like perfect. Let's just like check the box on this one and go ahead and send it. So that's another way that they can roll out. As far as like just either general people getting FSD and or having RoboTaxi operations in those areas. Also, there's like another prediction with the RoboTaxi. It's highly likely that Tesla will operate RoboTaxis in the metro areas under Tesla. However, whenever you start to get to these smaller cities, I don't think they're going to try to target these smaller cities. Why? Well, it's really showcased by like their dealerships and service centers. I live in Evansville, Indiana, southern Indiana, like 15 minutes away from Kentucky, and we don't even have a service center here. We just now got a pop-up sales like kiosk thing in our mall, like over the past like 6 months or a year or something like that. So we don't even have a service center in this area. So if we don't have a service center in this area, what makes us think that they're going to service RoboTaxis in this area? Unless they start popping up a lot more service centers in different areas to service RoboTaxis, and maybe with a 300,000 population, it is big enough to validate, if we're doing RoboTaxis and we're doing service in that area, it's worth it. Whereas like we're just doing service only in that area, it's not necessarily worth it for us to, spend the capital resources to build a facility, employ people in those areas, et cetera, et cetera. But to take you back to it, this is a huge deal, huge news that the RoboTaxi is. What are you doing, bro? Go. I just gave FSD gas. I didn't feel like waiting on it. Technically, it might have been doing the right thing because it was like the safest thing to do, but we ain't got time for all that. Which brings me back to, I wish they had aggression options on here, not just speed, like speed/aggression options, because I want to keep my speed like lower, not 20 miles over the speed limit yet. Yeah, this motherfucker don't give a shit. Look at him. Yeah, my Tesla's trying to back in, and they're like, screw you. But my Tesla waited perfectly. It's backing in right now. You can see it right there. But yeah, this is huge, huge, huge news. And again, one thing that's going to be another big aspect to this is how fast are they going to continue to deploy more RoboTaxis in that area. And also, again, same thing we've been talking about for quite some time now. What new cities are they going to expand into? Are they going to start removing safety drivers from San Francisco? Are they going to start expanding to other areas in Texas? If you don't know already, Texas is actually basically a green field that's like pretty much ready to roll out. Like there's not regulation in Texas on RoboTaxis. Like they can pretty much just roll them out. They can pretty much just roll them out to anywhere in Texas because the state of Texas allows for it. Whereas like California, maybe an area that they want to target and they want to go to, and Waymo's already there, so they should be able to get approvals and stuff like that. It's still going to be more like more of a local municipality approval unless the state goes ahead and opens it up. But like the state of Texas, and I believe like the state of Florida, these states have like already allowed for kind of like wide open access to be able to do RoboTaxis in those areas without limitations. Basically, it's more of like a you're liable for anything that happens type of thing versus a just regulatory things making you jump through hoops to get the approvals. It's like, hey, if anything happens, it's like on you guys. Which, I kind of like that approach. It keeps us innovating, and it keeps, just keeps regulation down and all that good stuff. And then they are liable for like just being safe about things. But yeah, thank you guys for viewing. I'll keep y'all posted with any more RoboTaxi news that comes out, any more Tesla news that comes out, any of the Tesla updates that come out on FSD. I'm doing reviews on those, so definitely subscribe to the channel if you're interested in things like that. And on a another note, we're talking other things like other stocks for we're involved in like AI, energy, autonomy, robotics. And then I, have other, company things that I talk about on the channel sometimes too, with our property investments and elite automation and all that good stuff. But yeah, again, subscribe if you're interested in those things. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.